Hi everyone, I am Vijendra and I welcome you all for the webinar. Thanks for taking your time to attend this session. I hope at the end of this session, you will get answers to most of your questions related to mobile app development process, and you'll be in a position to take any decisions easily related to enabling mobility for your organization. I'm one of the speakers in this webinar, and check our CTO is the other speaker. Let me give a small intro about myself. My name is Vijendra Kumar and I head the cloud and mobility practice at Trigent. I've started developing mobile applications almost like 20 years back when there was a limitation of total size of mobile app binaries of up to around 64 kilobytes. Yes, you heard it right. There was a limitation of 64 kilobytes for the binaries. It's not megabytes, it's or gigabytes, it's kilobytes. Now, of course, with all high-end mobile devices, binaries can go even to gigabytes level. I have our CTO check with me who will be speaking about the future of mobility after I give the intro about the mobile app development process. Check, over to you for your introduction.
Hi, I'm Chuck Rayberg. I'm the CTO at Trigent Software, and I head up the R&D division of Trigent Software called Semantic Insights. And we have been working in artificial intelligence for many years now, for actually decades now, with many products out, and it's really great to be on the cutting edge of technology. I get to play in that space. In fact, people might say that I kind of play for a living in semantic technologies, AI, building intelligent systems for clients, solving problems that they, don't have other solutions for. So it's a blast. So we'll talk about this at the end of this presentation, but now back to Vijendra.
Thanks, Chuck, for the wonderful introduction. Let me speak few words about our company, Trigent Software. Trigent is a CMM level 4 offshore software services company based out of Bangalore. We have offices in Boston and New Hampshire in the United States of America, along with Indian offices in Bangalore and Pune. Our company was established around 25 years back, and this year we are celebrating 25th year anniversary. We are one of the leading mobile application development companies in India. Our expertise also include cloud application development, infrastructure, QA, and other services. Before we start the session, let me tell you the background of this webinar on why we thought about doing it. In many of our pre-sale calls, our prospective customers, when they approached us, they had decided long time back to enable mobility for their organization, but kept postponing the task due to lack of knowledge in that area. We have observed that even on internet, there is no website which provides the latest comprehensive information related to mobile application development. And there are too many jargons and technologies in the mobility world, confusing leaders to take decision in adopting the mobility. There is a greater need for a single article or place which can cover all the aspects of mobile application development. Here is the agenda for today's session. We are going to give an introduction and ways to enable mobility for an organization, mobile application development approaches, programming languages, distribution and versions, how to test the mobile apps and its challenges, mobility, the future of it, and finally, questions and answers. From last decade, when the smartphones became very popular and 3G spectrum came, mobility came into limelight everywhere in the world. People started using the mobile devices for most of their tasks and adopted very closely in their lifestyle. That's how even developers started developing more and more mobile apps catering different needs. Now we use the apps for banking, e-commerce, navigation, travel, cooking, healthcare, video conferencing in this COVID time, even earlier, games, translating the text when you visit the foreign countries, for any kind of calculations. Many of the utilities like finding foot length with just a camera photo taken from app, and to try my shoe size and other things, and also virtually trying out a dress on me. You can name a task. We have a mobile app there. With this trend, corporates also started leveraging mobile apps for their businesses. So we have seen how important to enable mobility for an organization. Let us see why we need to go with enabling the mobility for a business. We have seen that more than 50% of website traffic comes from the mobile devices. That's one of the industry reports say that. And users from mobile devices cannot be ignored because that's a major chunk these days. Businesses to have an omni-channel strategy that offers consistent user experience across platforms, and even for the sales growth, we need the enabling mobility. That's widening the customer base by creating a new input channel through the app stores. When you have the app store presence, more and more customers will get to see and then become customers to us. And of course, it gives a better brand recognition. It also creates a direct marketing channel through in-app purchase, ads, promotions, and they have a greater impact on the customer than any other type of social media ads, email marketing, or even physical banners, etc. So better customer service and help business to directly communicate with its customers. Now, what is next and where to start this mobile app development? When we think about starting application development, these kind of questions pop up in our mind. First thing is, what are the business applications to consider for enabling the mobility, and whether to leverage website or to go with a mobile app? If it is a mobile app, whether to go with native kind of development, hybrid, cross-platform, PWA, instant apps, or app clips, or leaving all these, we can go with the no-code platforms. Once we decide on what kind of mobile app to go, we have to think about what kind of programming language to use, and then where to host, what type of devices to support, and how to test these apps on multiple devices, and finally, whom to approach for all these. So let us take the questions one by one. One is, what are the applications to enable mobility? So generally, for any organization, there can be customer facing business applications or associate facing business applications, etc. So you need to find out which applications to be enabled for mobility. You decide on that first, and then identify the functionality. Once you do that, also think about the value addition when you enable mobility for that type of business application. So you decide on the application among all your business applications for enabling the mobility. Once you do that, you have to think about what are the different mobile platforms you need to support for your app. Sorry, I use apps and then applications interchangeably because most of the times we call applications as apps. So I'll be using apps and applications interchangeably throughout my session. Both are the same. So when we say mobile platforms, currently only two platforms are running. That makes our life very easy. One is iOS from Apple and Android. You must have heard many other platforms, something like Trigent, Windows 10, BlackBerry, Symbian, Windows 6, 7, Palm OS, Brew, J2ME, all were there once upon a time, but they are kind of outdated now. They're not being used anymore. Only two platforms in the latest trend, that is iOS and Android. You don't need to think about any other platform. Next question is, we have the iOS and Android. What are the different versions to be supported for your app? Of course, every year, both iOS and Android, they have the habit of releasing newer versions. So should we support all the versions? How to make it backward compatible, etc. questions will pop up in our mind. So generally, predominantly, we support in the iOS side, we support version 12 onwards. Latest version is 14, which was released in this year, September 16th. Similarly, on the Android side, we support version 8 onwards. The latest version is 11.x, which was again released in this year, 8th of September. We don't need to support very lower end versions, because most of the people have either got the latest versions of the got upgraded their OS or the latest mobile devices. Next question is, what are the different ways to enable mobility? Mainly, there are two ways of enabling mobility. One is leveraging your web application. If you have a web application, you can leverage the web application and cater the mobile devices. In that, there are two variants, using responsive web design and using accelerated mobile pages. It's commonly called as AMP pages. I'll explain these two in the coming slides. The next one is building mobile application. One is leveraging the web application and then building a standalone mobile applications. While building the mobile application, there are many variants, many types, or many ways to do that. One is using the native mobile application, hybrid mobile application. In hybrid also, there are two ways, pure hybrid and then container-based applications. Next one is cross-platform native mobile application, progressive web application, instant apps or app clips, and finally no-code platforms. I'll explain all these in detail in the coming slides. Let us go with knowing the details of how to leverage your web application. Yeah, this is applicable only if you have a web application in your business. Otherwise, you can directly jump onto the building mobile application, standalone mobile application. So one approach is RWD. It's called a responsive web design. You have a website which was all these days catering to the desktop browsers. But when you use that on the mobile device, it cannot really cater or render properly on the mobile device because of the screen size. So when you use the responsive web design, you can make those pages responsive, particularly for the small screens, which includes mobile devices, tablets. Of course, it also has to support desktop versions of browsers. It has to automatically adjust the pages by considering the different form factors, which include the screen size and also pixel sizes. When we use this responsive web design, we generally make use of HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS with any programming language in the backend, which can generate HTML5 finally. And it is, once you write it, it will go and then cater any of the devices. So the moment you write and then push it to your web server, anybody across the world can access this page and then see that instantly. So that's the advantage with RWD approach. With this approach, there's no app store, something like a Play Store or Apple Store. There's no such worries. And you go with your own web server hosting, wherever it is hosted, you can continue to live with it. One limitation of using any of the hardware functionalities of the mobile device, which include camera, calendar, geolocation, etc. Only those can be used in this. Other than these camera, calendar, or geolocation, you cannot use any other hardware functionalities of the mobile device. Next comes with AMP. Accelerated mobile pages is a open source HTML framework released by Google. Mainly, it ensures that mobile web pages to operate at a very optimal speed. When we use the RWD approach, though we cater the same pages to the mobile devices, they are very, very slow because of the size in nature. So when we go with this AMP, these are very lightweight. They are particularly meant for the mobile devices. That's how they are very, very optimal and then faster. We again use the HTML, JavaScript, and cache, and changes to be done on the server side. And there's a statistics that on an average, any AMP page loads four times faster than the regular web pages. And also user engagement is more than 35% as per the statistics. And also currently, so far, more than 25 million domains are using AMP. One more advantage with this is search engines recognize these pages in a very good manner. The moment you search, it will show up in a very different icon, so that also they give a priority to AMP enabled websites. You can see that in the red circle marked over there. That's how you get to see the websites when you search from your mobile device for the websites which are AMP enabled. So that's how they are very much distinguished from the regular pages, and users tend to click such or tend to go visit those pages than the regular pages because they know that they are very good on the mobile devices. So far we have seen two different ways of enabling mobility by leveraging the web application. Next we'll see how to build mobile applications one by one. Let us talk about native mobile applications. When we say native, it is native to a specific OS. OS can be iOS from Apple or Android from Google. When we write anything in the native framework, we have to use two separate code bases. It is specific to native framework for each of these OS specific ones. And also the development tools and languages also different for these two platforms. So whenever we write, there will be two separate code bases with using two different native frameworks. Using this native approach, there is a deep integration with the hardware features. Any hardware feature can be used using native approach. Of course, one more advantage is related to the security. It has got very good enhanced security when we use the native approach. It's very difficult to crack the code when you use the native approach. And UI it gives a native look and feel. People like native look and feel all the time. For developing the native mobile applications, we use Objective-C and Swift for the iOS platform. Objective-C is little outdated. Few years back, Apple has released Swift. Predominantly, most of the developers use Swift language for developing iOS mobile application. For the Android, we use Java and Kotlin. Kotlin has recently come few years back, but again, Java is not outdated. Still, most of the people use Java. That's about the native mobile application. Let us come to the hybrid mobile application. When we say hybrid, it is more like a HTML pages embedded inside a native container, and then we'll give it as a mobile app. When we use the HTML5, of course, it has to give the HTML look and feel. All the controls will have the same look and feel like any other web page. You can see that in the sample. It doesn't contain any native look. Native look is very different, rich in UI, but HTML is plain across any other platform. Similar to how we look in the desktop browser, it's the same thing. And this, since it's a HTML5 web page embedded inside a mobile app, it has got limited access to hardware features. There are many plugins which we can make use of it to connect to the hardware features, but it's limited in nature. There are two variants in the hybrid mobile application. One is pure hybrid application. whatever I explained, like we can write many HTML5 pages and then embed those inside a mobile app and then release that to the stores. That's called pure hybrid application. The other one is container application. Container application is you have got a web application which is very lightweight and it is built using the RWD approach. That means it can cater any of the mobile devices. It can render easily to different screen sizes. It's already there. What we do is we take the URL and then we embed a browser inside the mobile app and use that URL to render the pages, whatever is required. So we don't put any HTML pages inside, rather we embed only the URL inside and then make it as a app and then release it to the stores. This is mainly used just to have some kind of presence in the App Store, just to attract the users who want only the mobile apps for their use. So only for such people we recommend these container applications. But both these hybrid, pure hybrid and container apps is kind of outdated because recently, at least few years back, cross-platform tools have come into the world. And then once we got these cross-platform tools, hybrid applications have gone side. Mobile for hybrid applications, we use HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS. We use some of the frameworks like Cordova, PhoneGap, Ionic framework, Sencha Touch, Dojo Mobile, Accelerated, Titanium, etc. But again, these are all, though people still use, we consider these as outdated ones because of the cross-platform tools, which we are going to see in the next slide. Cross-platform native, we use a single code base to develop the applications for both iOS and Android platforms. The main advantage with cross-platform compared to hybrid is that it gives a native binary. It gives a native look and feel, almost near to the native look and feel, because every cross-platform framework, they put a lot of effort in making their controls very much look near to the native controls. So that's how we get a near to native look and feel of the UI. Since the same platform is used on both iOS and Android, it's a uniform look across the platforms. We can even release the faster, and it's economical because it's a single code base which can work on both the platforms. Because of this, even the maintenance cost is very less. Some of the popular apps like FB, Facebook, Instagram, Walmart, they all built using cross-platform. The most popular cross-platform tool is React Native, which is developed by Facebook. Next one is React Native uses the JavaScript. It's a JavaScript-based framework. Next one is a Flutter. Flutter is from Google. It uses the Dart. It's a new language. Kotlin is from NetBeans. It's not a pure cross-platform tool, but it insists developers to build UI separate for each platform. That's the reason we don't consider that a pure cross-platform tool. Other one is a Xamarin, that is from Microsoft. It uses C# language. Xamarin is also kind of outdated from last 2 years. Earlier, it was very, very popular. People after React Native and Flutter came, Xamarin is going away from the world again. But still, there are many people who are using Xamarin. So far, we have seen native mobile application, hybrid mobile application, pure hybrid container, cross-platform. Let us see the progressive web application now. Progressive application, popularly called as PWA. It leverages the existing mobile application. It's a lightweight application. It gets loaded to the device upon accepting a web link. Whenever you visit a website from the mobile device browser, you'll be asked to download. Can we add a shortcut kind of thing? Then the app will come and sit on your device. Whenever you want, you can use that. Since it is sitting over there through the website, it can support even the offline mode, and it doesn't need to go through the app store. Directly you accessed it from their website. Predominantly it uses the HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS. The other programming languages which finally generates HTML5, JavaScript, You can use any other programming language, any other web-related programming language for this purpose, for writing the PWA. Since it has come from the web application, there's no installation from the app stores, and no pain of publishing and listing of the app in the stores. Again, since it is developed using HTML, it gives a HTML5 look and feel. It's a web-enabled mobility experience. It minimizes the time for development, because the moment you change anything on your website and then put it over there, it will come and sit in your device. You can use it. Very economical to develop. There's no platform specific things to do. Something like you don't need to release iOS and Android apps, etc. You put, and also you don't need to go through the app stores. So that's the reason it's more economical to develop. Only disadvantage is that it's not allowed to run in the background. Only in the foreground it runs. It has got limited access to hardware features because again it's a HTML5 based app. Next one is instant apps and app clips. Android instant apps are there from last few years at least, but Apple has introduced Apple clips only in the latest iOS 14 version, which was released 2 months back, September 2020. It's kind of a mini app concept. When I say mini app concept, you push the apps to the stores. Few of the users who do not want to install the app to get that experience, they can even try the app to find out whether it's good or not. Only when they find it good, then they can go with the installation. That's how the instant apps and app clips work. It's fast and lightweight. It's best suited for trials and instant use. Usage is in the Play Store. If you go to the app listing, there will be a button called Try Now. You can click on it. You can try. It will not get installed to your device. You can use some of the or few of the features of the app. And for the iOS, it's based on the link in the browser. You can go to their website and then click a button. It will get kind of downloaded and then sits in your device and then use it. It doesn't go through the app store there. Also through NFC, also you can use it. Also through the QR code, you can scan and then get the URL and then you can get it running. The last one is the no-code platforms. We have seen all these cross-platform, native, PWA, AMP, all other things. There are few third-party people who say that, hey, use our platform. You don't need to write any code or write very minimal level code. You design the app on the website itself, and then we will give you the binaries. You use it in pushing it to the store, and then end users can use it easily. They say that even iOS and Android both are supported. You can use it. Yeah, such platforms, all these platforms, they give very limited set of features. We cannot really go with full-fledged mobile application with this. If you have a requirement like very minimal level, only with screens, very few screens, doesn't require much business logic, and with not much of a hardware interface or not any third-party interface, you can go with it. Few of the popular platforms with this no-code approach are AppyPie, AppMaker, AppsGeezer, On-Air App Builder, etc. There are many more in the internet you can search and find out. But generally, we don't recommend these no-code platforms because they are very simple, lightweight. Only for the people who need minimal, lightweight apps, they can go with it. So far we have covered all ways to enable mobility, web application leverage, and then building mobile applications, all other things. Now we'll see the difference between native, cross-platform, and PWA. In the download is required for native, cross-platform, but PWA we have seen that it is not required. And native UI, only for the native app it gives that native look and feel. For the cross-platform, moderately it gives, but PWA it's HTML5 look and feel. Performance-wise, native is best. Cross-platform also they try to give good performance at a moderate level. PWA is also moderate level. Single code base, native, it has to be 2 different code bases. For the cross-platform, yes, it's a single code base which works on both. PWA, it gets downloaded from the web with little customization you need to do. It works on both. And low data consumption, native and cross-platform, they use high data, but PWA uses very low data. And then the total size, native is more, native and cross-platform are more. PWA is very less in size. Discoverability through app stores for both cross-platform and native. For PWA, only through the website you can find out that there is a web or there is an app. Leveraging the hardware, it's native is 100%. You can leverage any of the hardware functionality. Cross-platform, there's a moderate level. PWA, very minimal level. Third-party interaction, yes, you can do any kind of third-party integration with native and cross-platform, but not with PWA. SEO friendly search engine optimization only with the PWA because it's sitting on the web, but other two, cross and native, it's not there. Offline and push notification are supported by all. AMP and PWA differences. Sorry, something wrong. RWD and AMP. RWD is more focused on the flexibility, but AMP is focused on the speed. RWD replaces the web page, but AMP works with a web page. RWD, there's no code JavaScript related restrictions, but AMP has got restrictions with JavaScript. And with any type of dynamic content, RWD works. AMP only good for static content with minimal dynamic content. Next is the app distribution base. There are public stores and private stores. Public stores, as you all know, Apple maintains a store for iOS apps applications. Android, there are two app stores. One is Google and the other one is Amazon. Google predominantly, 99% of the people go with the Google. Of course, few people will also list their apps on the Amazon, which is negligible in nature. There are other ways which you do not want. If you do not want to push your apps to the regular end users, you can go with the private or enterprise stores. iOS, Apple gives a private store called Business Manager. Using that, you can host your app and then make it available only to certain set of people. Microsoft also gives that flexibility. This is called App Center. And also, other than that, you can use in-house private stores using enterprise mobility model, EMM softwares. On the Android side, private apps can be hosted in Microsoft App Center, and also can be used in in-house private stores by EMM tools. And also, you can advantage with the Android apps is you can host it on your own web server. There are temporary places where you can push and then people can get it. There's something like a Diavi, etc. sites will provide such feature. Now we have seen how development, but how to test it. We use manual testing and automation also. We use the manual testing on devices and emulators. Automation, we can use APM framework on both emulator and devices. There are certain challenges mainly with respect to number of devices to be used for the testing. There are huge number of devices in the market and which cater different models, screen sizes, and also the versions. That's the reason you cannot procure all the devices and then test your app over there. So it's recommended to test the mobile app or at least on major screen sizes and the latest and one previous version, and also supported lowest OS version. This is like a criteria we generally use for going with the testing of the mobile app. If you don't want to procure the mobile devices for testing, you can actually leverage AWS Cloud Device Farm. They give a virtual devices on the cloud. You can connect to that and then test your apps. This reduces a lot of procurement cost on the mobile devices. We are all done, but whom to approach? Most of the mobile apps require backend APIs for exchanging business data with servers. You must be knowing standalone apps are very few with utility apps kind of thing. And every business has its own technology stack for their IT process. So for whom to approach, you need to find a vendor for your mobile application development who can understand your technology stack well, because every organization has got their own technology stack. So the vendor should understand your existing technology stack well and should be techno agnostic. They should not be sticking to one technology because it may be different from you and then they'll force you to use their technology. So always find a partner who is techno agnostic. And he should be expert in latest technology trends so that he can give a good guidance or unbiased guidance on the technology stack required for the backend APIs, and also can understand your business well, give recommendation on the roadmap for enabling mobility for your organization. So that's all I have to cover regarding different aspects of enabling mobility for your organization. I wish you best of luck in enabling mobility for your organization. Now our CTO Check will cover the future of mobility, what to expect in future, and how you can leverage those in coming years. Over to you, Check.
Thanks, Vijendra. So the question is like, what next? Where are we going next? So I'll look forward here. I'm going to just gloss over everything and talk about the things that I find interesting, because there's plenty out there that is interesting. So we're looking at, can you go back one? So
Yes,
real-time essential applications, things are going to get more essential here, more real, more essential. Things are going to appear as seamless, like we're talking about different merging different hot pieces of hardware, locations of data, locations of processing. It's going to be like that, and there's going to be this balance between all of these things. So next slide. So I think we need to look at, what is driving change, how change comes about there, and we'll take a look at that in the various ways that that seems to be shaping the future of mobility. Certainly things in real-time detection and identification and measurement, there's certainly, we do that now, but there's going to be more of the same and better, and you'll see how that plays out, and we'll see how that plays out. Real-time situational awareness sort of things, where actually, you can actually look at what's going on around you. We'll look at that. Communication and collaboration, that's right. We need to be able to share information and share it in ways that make it actionable for all players. Real-time machine assistance. Now this is where we go from looking up things, finding things, what is the answer, asking questions, to having the system ask you questions to find out what is the best answers to to give you, and also to look at your situation and start to apply domain and real knowledge to give you results. And so we'll take a look at that. Reliability and security, absolutely crucial now. The more you rely on this, the more you're going to need to have a reliable system and something that doesn't exfiltrate your data. And then we'll just summarize everything out. What's next? So the drivers of change. So really two kinds of places drive change. One is need and one is technology. So the kinds of needs we have are like the real-time detection, identification, situation awareness, all of that sort of communication, collaboration, real-time assistance, that sort of stuff. That's driving the need. Then there's advances in technology. Now we have second wave AI, which is learning based on characteristics, neural nets, TensorFlow, that sort of thing, balanced binary trees, that sort of thing. Third wave AI does a learning based on present and past experiences, whereas second wave AI talks about the characteristics of things. Third wave AI talks about the characteristics of things in time and actually how they are related to each other in time. And that has interesting implications for us. Now there's this unscripted conversational natural language assistance, essentially AI for understanding what's going on, what's actually happening, the context of a communication, and what's actually happening, transpiring in the communication. It goes from what are we talking about to what are they saying about it. And we already have things like sentiment analysis and that sort of stuff, but that's going to be and a whole lot more. And then virtual reality and augmented reality. Let's take a look next. So under real-time detection and identification, of course, second wave AI plays a lot of role in this because you're trying to identify something among a set of things that you already know. Like what your what the possibilities are, and you know what the attributes that you're looking for and that sort of stuff. But the notion of like doing things real time with multiple objects in motion at a distance that may even be partially obscured by other objects. I saw a wonderful demo of uh, of being able to identify a scene. It was actually one of the like a riot scene, in a street riot scene, and the AI could pick out people who were in the windows watching the scene, which was really cool. Multiple things going on simultaneously, really cool stuff. So we'll also get into hands-on mobile devices, hands-free, I should say, mobile devices, voice UI sort of thing. Voice UI going beyond what what we think of as being a scripted UI, but being one that actually can interact contextually. Content-based picture search, not just tagging, but actually being able to lift content from pictures and then matching what you've got against what is standard so that you can actually see, how's it going? Maybe it's not going so well. What is expected? What's next? So real-time situation analysis. Okay, we already have things like thermal imaging, which Vijendra mentioned earlier, and the use of drones. The use of drones now to be able to take multiple drones or single drones, but multiple drones and look at and start to knit together computable data in real time. Certainly geofencing has been around, but it's certainly going to get a lot better. And we've already had things like Bluetooth, low energy sort of thing for proximity awareness and being able to like essentially instrument your surroundings so that you can see how things move in your surroundings. Very cool stuff, and it's going to happen more ubiquitously and more real time. Some things that are coming soon, really kind of cool. This notion of seeing around corners to actually being approaching a corner or just watching a corner and seeing what's coming on the other side. And the technology of that is really cool. I threw in a couple of URLs for this to just describe it, but the applying of physics, discoveries in physics to devices which can be handled, in your hands, local, or on your body, wearable, local, and really accessible real time. They also this notion of, and back to the natural language piece, the notion of monitoring news feeds and social media. And sometimes looking for what you're interested in, but also looking for things that may be interesting to you. And so this notion of, as you interact with it, just like you get things with music stations that start to listen, start to understand the kinds of things you like. This will start to understand the kinds of things you're interested in, and be able to then expand that and grow that in ways that you didn't even know. So let's see what's next. So real-time communication and collaboration. So one of the things about communication and collaboration is that each person, each player in the game needs a point of view, needs to see the world in their point of view. They need to see perhaps multiple things simultaneously happening all at once. Now, right now, there's systems that are, situation boards, assessment boards, action boards for, people who are fairly stationary. Then there's, putting that into the hands of mobile devices, having the mobile devices feed the situation analysis boards, all in real time, to provide an overall common operating picture that's relevant to the person and the people who are looking at it from their point of view. Everybody gets to see the same situation, and the thing would be able to learn from past experience so that it can actually predict what's going to happen, but also prescribe how best, based from past experience and matching this current situation, you'll move forward. And this is the kind of stuff that I love, because that's the kind of stuff we do. What's next? So real-time machine assistance. This is essentially solving problems for you, actually looking at the context, looking at natural language, and making a prediction of what could happen next. Now, the world the reality is messy. Reality is often you get bad data or missing data. And so these systems have to be resilient to bad data or missing data, and also be able to, in some sense, unlearn. Like if it goes down into a bad place, it needs to be able to unlearn. So unlike wave 2 AI, which can be easily hacked, and very difficult to unlearn things in wave 2. In wave 3 AI allows you to unlearn things. This notion of truthfulness determination, like being able to say, I'm looking at something, what is the truthful value of this, and how true is this? By looking at other, trusted sources, by looking at consequential reasoning. So it's really pretty cool, and that's coming. That's really in progress. Health and fitness, of course, a lot of this is still going on, is already in its progress, and you can see it actually working. It's going to get a lot better. This notion, here's an interesting thing, a wearable virus detector. Isn't that cool? Like you could actually have something that has some, bioactive chemistry and play in a on a surface on the bioactive on the wearable detector, and that can recognize when you have a virus or antibodies to that virus, and let you know. And maybe even detected in the air. So there's so much cool stuff going on here. Given the situation we're all in, you can see why that's going. Telemedicine, of course, being able to have virtual appointments, setting up the appointment, scheduling the appointment, finding out what your insurance is, having the appointment, and paying for it, and never leaving your chair. So that's all pretty cool. The virtual reality, certainly remote. The notion of, and that's really taken off in where you have third world situations or remote situations, people who are very remote from healthcare facilities, being able to have local devices, attachments to your phone, all going through your phone, but being able to perform lab tests remotely and that sort of stuff. Let's see what's next. So for security of this, among the technologies that I'm really looking forward to and working with in blockchain is the ability to then, what you see is a picture of a manager going back and selecting from the past experiences in the blockchain to view something that happened. So such that we have a guarantee of the chain of custody of that data, such that we know that hasn't been modified. It is really what happened, and sort of thing. So that's secure transactions, absolutely cool. Blockchain, absolutely cool. The real-time reliability of responses involves both local data and remote data. And if you have a interruption in your connectivity of any kind, you need to still be able to access your data. So that the ability to have, to shift processing and data around externally and also internally is going to be, a consideration you'll have when you're developing mobile apps. And then security. There's this really cool app out there that company that's has a self-protecting data. The data kind of like shows up. You can't read it. You have to kind of ask it to be able to read it, and it will verify where it is. It'll talk to the mothership, and that sort of thing. Verify where it is, and then let you know whether you whether you particularly have the rights to actually access itself. So self-protecting data, very cool. What's next? So let me just summarize real quick. This is just kind of a view into the world that I play in. It's so cool. This notion of increased security, reliability, mission critical activities, definitely going to be happening. Requires understanding cross disciplines. You're going to need to know more to do these special purpose and integrated applications. You're going to need to know and understand more. Going to require a lot of integration with a lot of different sources, and they'll come in line. And it would really be great if there was some really good standards, EDI type standards on there. It's going to be interesting. So what I'm saying is that you're going to have to stay on top of this. You're going to have to be flexible. You're going to have to follow the standards that matter most to you in their development, and really just to stay constantly learning. That's my brief but exciting view of what I think is coming. All right.
Right. Thanks, Chuck, for the wonderful insight on future of mobility. Dear audience, that's all we have. We have covered almost all aspects of mobile application development and also the future of mobility. If you have any questions, you can actually type those questions in the webinar, go to webinar control, and we'll wait for the questions so that we can answer. Yeah, somebody has posted a question saying, how long it will take to develop a mobile application? Okay, generally it takes around 6 weeks to even 2 years. It depends on your business case and how big is a mobile application, what kind of functionalities you need to cover in the mobile app, etc. conditions. Yeah, minimum is, I would say, 6 weeks, and it can go to any level. On an average, it will be around 6 months as a medium to moderately high or bigger mobile application. Any other question? Yeah, one more from, I don't see the name. Are there any charges for publishing the apps into the stores? Oh, yes, they're not free. I mean, you, for publishing your app or hosting your app and the app stores, you need to pay. Uh, Google, I guess sometime back it was $25 uh, per year, or sorry, $25 like perpetual access to the app store. You can publish any number of apps to the store. $25 plus taxes. That's what is for the Google Play Store. And Apple Store, I think they charge around $100 or so every year. I need to check the latest from that website. But yeah, at least a year back, this was the case. Next one is, what is EMM and MDM? Oh yeah, I did mention about MDM, EMM in between the slides. See, MDM is kind of outdated. Again, MDM is mobile device management. EMM is enterprise mobility management. EMM is the latest version of MDM. I'll tell you what it is. EMM and MDM both are used uh, for hosting the private applications in a private store. That's one advantage. If you don't want to push your apps to the stores, so that people will outside general public will not should not be able to see the apps, then you can go with a private store. For that, you can make use of this EMM solutions. If you install use that EMM tool, you can have your own private store within your data center or the cloud. Well, that is one advantage. Other advantage is to go with bring your own device concept. Suppose your employees bring their own devices to the organization, and you give away your corporate specific mobile applications to install on their device. And then if they leave the organization after a few years, or if they lose the mobile device somewhere, there is a danger that anybody outsider can get to see your corporate data. That's in a generic sense. But if you use this MDM or EMM tool, that gives a guarantee that the moment they lose their phone, they can inform the IT people of your company, and then they can initiate a request to the mobile device. The moment it receives it through internet, it will wipe out all the data, all the corporate related data from the mobile device. So that's the main purpose of using EMM tool. We did not cover those aspects in this webinar due to shortage of time. Also, we were focused more on the development rather than this provide store or the bring your own device concept. Anything else? We have only 2 minutes left. There is a question related to hiring. Okay. Do we need a specialist for native cross-platform or PWA, or a mobile app developer can have all these skills? Yes or no. It's, yeah, if you can find a person with all these skill set, yeah, you're lucky. Definitely, it's always good to have all the skills in a single skill set in a single person, but it's very difficult. I mean, practically, it is difficult to find all these skill set in a single person. That's a reality. Of course, with more than one skill set you can find, but not all the three. Native and PWA can go together that way. To answer your question, it is difficult, but it's not impossible. Very few people have a skill set of all these three. I think it's already 12 o'clock. So yeah, we don't have time for taking any more questions. Yeah, what you can do is you can email us directly for any further questions. So these are our email IDs. Definitely we'll come back to you with all the answers. You can feel free to send any type of questions, whether it's basic or very advanced, absolutely fine. We can understand your needs. There's no issue. You can note down these IDs. All right, that's
Thank you
all.
all.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
all for your time in investing here. Have a nice day.
Yes.
Thanks, Jack.
Hey,
Thank you
you
once
too,
again.
Chandra. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.